Howdy y'all, and welcome back for episode 3 of the Kireth Esports Drift University. My name's Neater, and in today's episode, I'm going to help y'all get ready for your first online drift lobbies. To do this, I'm going to start by getting you more familiar with Suzuka eScores. And to help you get a feel for some basic lobby etiquettes, as I had opened a lobby the other day where I asked people to do pretty much everything wrong, to show y'all some examples of what not to do. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Alright, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to try to stay as close to the middle of the track as you can. The reason for this is it gives you the most room for error. When you get to online lobbies, this is typically the line you'll see people take when you're trying to be in trains but you don't have the most skill in the lobby. So you'll typically see a large variety of speeds, but as far as angle goes, it's going to be consistently low because you're shortening the corner a little bit and therefore making it harder to hold angle. Unless you're left foot braking a lot and really dragging out the corner. But I wouldn't recommend this as it's a really hard line to follow for the person behind when you do that. Once you're up top, I want you to do the same thing coming down, because most lobbies run sections where we split the course in half. So you need to know the track going down as well. And once you learn to hold and maintain the drift, I want you to focus on how much angle you're holding consistently. As you'll see here, in this corner, I over-rotate just a little bit, and so I had to kick it down into second gear to save me from having too much wheel spin and spinning out. And if you're straightening out between corners, you might need to go up one more gear in order to get you that extra power so your engine doesn't cut out. Alright, and for the next one, I want you to try to start working side to side on track. Try to hit the inside of corners and then work your way to the outside. For all the racing fans out there, because this is Kira's channel, the other way to say it is to hit your apexes. So you see here, I work from the inside of the curb to the outside and right back to the inside here and then back out to the outside. It doesn't necessarily matter which order you do it in, as every lobby is going to be taking a different line. That's just kind of the bummer of not having any clipping points in this game. There's no consistent line to follow. So I just want you to play around, just have fun. Like, you can hit the inside of every corner, you can hit the outside of every corner. So I want you to go into this with the goal of being able to do any line coming out of this. And of course, same thing here, make sure that you get the downhill version too. I think you'll find a lot of the section lobbies are honestly a lot more fun, just because it keeps the trains together and it makes it easier for you to find tandem partners. And then you'll notice as I come down to the bottom here, I gave it a little bit too much power in third, a little too late, and the car just spins out on me. I feel like if I would have shifted down to second here, I would have had a little less wheel spin and I would have been able to drag the corner a little bit longer. Now the last line I want you to try to follow, which is going to be the most advanced one, is I want you to try to stick to the outside line pretty much the whole time. You'll definitely notice yourself needing to use the left foot brakes a little bit to hold you onto that outside or pull you out to the outside. And then you'll find yourself also kind of struggling to hold angle in between corners, as it's a long stretch to stay on the outside. So I want you to focus on trying to have speed in between corners on transitions so that you can hold your angle, while also trying not to leave that outside clipping point too early. And again, this might not be an actual line that you follow often in lobbies, but if you can hold it right now, it'll make following anybody's line a lot easier for you, as having the ability to stick to the outside line will keep you from diving too far inside on somebody who you are following in a tandem. And what I mean by that is when you're following somebody in a tandem, you want to try to stay as much as you can on the back wheel of the car. When you edge too far forward, you make it hard for anybody who's trying to also follow you, because you cut their line short. And the opposite goes for when you only practice inside lines. When you do that, you're helping yourself to prepare when you need to catch up to somebody in a train if you're going too slow. So now that you know the basics of how to follow a line, let's teach you some not to do's in lobbies. First off, if you mess up, make sure you try to get off track so that you don't mess up the train behind you. See how these guys are parked on track and I run up to them and I can't complete my line. Then I make the mistake here too of going back on track too early. I try to rush myself, mess up, and I mess up my friend's line. Here's a better example of what you should do. So here I oversteer, spin out, and right after I spin out, try to collect myself and get off track, so the person behind me didn't have a problem. Also, I gotta pause right here to say, don't park this far up like these guys do. When you do that, anybody who's falling behind in the train has to pull all the way out on the dirt just to get reset for the next run. Next, remember this isn't a race. Every entry does not have to be at 100 miles an hour. Sometimes the better thing is to be able to take it slow into the entry so that the whole train can stick together in a peaceful line. When you rush up like that Prius did, it forces everybody to rush to be with the person that they want to be, and it messes up the lines. Also, I want you to notice here, when I got hit in the right bumper, as soon as that happened, I just dove off track instantly. Next up is one of the basics. Don't drift all-wheel drive cars. They don't actually really drift. They go on a really funky line, and so you'll see here, he had to push me into a weird situation that just did not work out. The next tip has to do with this second to last corner right here. As you can see, I fell off the side and went a little too deep. This is a little tough to follow for the person behind, so I recommend if you ever fall off your line in that corner, just dip off. It's what's best for everyone. Next up is just a straight courtesy. Try to watch where you go whenever you finish your sections, just because when people on wheel, whenever you slam into them like this, the wheel just starts flying everywhere. So just be careful as you finish your section. Same goes too for when you're coming out of the pits and parking up in front of the first section. Now to one of the basics. If you fall off track, do not re-enter right away, especially if you're leading the train. That's for sure. Another habit that's good to do is when you see the person in front of you start to fall off, if you can't avoid them and if you can't hold a clean drift, just try to get off the road yourself instead of hitting them. That'll help keep the train behind you clean if they were able to get off the road. As you see, the two cars were able to pass us without hitting us. Now, one of the more advanced things that you can work on is being able to read what the train needs behind you as a lead car. So you're going to see here my friend RJ is going, and he's got a good pace right now, but he starts to ride the brakes heavy, and so that's not a good thing for my car. And so you see me start to creep up, and then I just eventually lose it because it wasn't the pace for my car. If you can hold a different pace and you can see that a car behind you wants to go a little faster, definitely don't slow down. Try to read and adapt to what everybody else is doing. And that's going to do it for the second episode of the Kireth Esports Drift University. Appreciate y'all for watching, and make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Next episode, I'm going to make a tutorial on how to make my handbrake, since a lot of y'all have been asking in the comments. I'm excited because honestly I absolutely love this handbrake, and it is super simple to make with pretty much everything being around the house. The only thing y'all are going to need to get are some joystick bumpers, and the rest is basically just cardboard, tape, and super glue. But once again, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.